Hello, good evening. It's another week of Overwatch questions in the Overwatch University subreddit. Top upvoted of the week. My name is KarQ, and here we go. Most upvoted question of the week, another D.Va question. How is D.Va even real? What true counters does she have? A rant / actual question. What are you even supposed to do against a decent D.Va? I don't get her character identity. She's a gigantic DPS with 1,000,000 health, incredible mobility, incredible high burst damage, and 2 lives and Matrix, which I don't even understand how it's a real ability. As a DPS, I am baffled with this character's existence because if my tank doesn't go Zarya, which honestly isn't even a hard counter, I feel like I can't do much against a good D.Va. Honestly, feel like her recent nerf didn't even fix her main issue, which is just being able to make any non-tank hero explode on command. So aside from using a high mobility character like Tracer, which only makes it so that she just can't kill you whenever she wants, what am I supposed to do as a DPS to shut down D.Va? Well, as a single DPS against the D.Va, you can't really individually take down her or any tanks in the game for the most part. Tanks in a 5v5 format with one single tank have so much extra HP, most DPSs can't win them outright as a single character. Taking down a tank is kind of like a team effort in a little bit. You have to make the D.Va look one way, then you shoot her another way, or you survive and buy time and stall and waste her abilities on you, which is why a lot of people ended up playing a lot of Mei and Reaper last season when D.Va was even stronger because they were able to survive. They could get away with Wraith Form, Ice Block, etc., etc. If you're playing like a hit scan from a distance like Soldier against the D.Va, yeah, you're not going to be able to do much. You can't really chip away her armor very well. As a Soldier, for example, the Matrix can eat your stuff. For the most part, you kind of pressure her if there's nothing else to shoot, or try to like shoot other heroes, not the D.Va. And then if everybody starts shooting the D.Va from different directions, if there's nothing else to shoot, she starts looking in different directions. You can pressure her and make her make a mistake, because her biggest weakness right now is actually range. So other than playing high mobility and surviving, or playing a bit more durable heroes like Reaper, Torb, Mei to survive as well, long range and distance is your best friend. Certain maps will lend itself pretty well for that, such as Widowmaker on maybe Junkertown. D.Va has to expend multiple booster cooldowns to get you, assuming she doesn't have the Juno speed ring, which is part of the reason why she was so good back then, because you could play super far away. Range was her weakness, and she could close that distance in one booster, which is really bad. It's a little better now, but it's still kind of annoying. But you play really far away and you don't really shoot her, you shoot other people, and that tends to do pretty well. It's actually funny because whenever Blizzard makes a dev comment whenever they nerf her above D.Va, they're always like, she doesn't really like perform that crazily well. Like, she's not overperforming by any means according to their win rate stats. A lot of people are frustrated against her, but sometimes when I do watch like D.Va players in silver, gold, plat, diamond, a lot of them are making the range mistake. Yes, if she can close the distance and punish somebody with micro missiles, she can be very oppressive, but if you play spacing, I see a lot of D.Vas fly into the open, waste their missiles a little early, and they're kind of standing in no man's land for a bit. Sure, she has so much armor right now that she doesn't die right away if she holds Matrix, but she kind of just sits there and does nothing, and then she has to fly back to her team. So in terms of true counters, wouldn't say there's like a true counter right now. You kind of just have to like reduce her value as best as possible with the reasons I listed before. What is the point of Mauga? Listen, I came back after a long break for the release of Juno, and listen, I genuinely do not understand. What is the point of Mauga? What is he trying to do in a team comp? Is he dive? No. Is he poke? Sorta. Is he brawl? Mostly. Yeah. I only see him dead. What is he good at? I play mostly support, and all I've ever seen anyone do is pick him and rush in and die 1v5. This sounds like a meme post, but I'm genuinely looking for answers as a frustrated support. Feels like whenever tank picks this motherfucker, we lose. Do I just not know how to support him? I'll pour heals into him. Ana, Juno, Moira, Bap, anything with high burst healing, and the dude still gets obliterated instantly. I've never won a game with Mauga on my team. I don't understand what Mauga as a tank is supposed to do. Please help. So you came back from a long break and you missed when Mauga was meta. So basically what they did was that they reduced his time where he has the cardiac overdrive, or as I like to call it, cardiac arrest. Used to be 5 seconds, now it's 3, and that 2-second nerf is like 40% of its uptime, which means a D.Va can just obviously hold Matrix, waste that period of time. Orion shield probably might not go down in that time. Sigma can shield and subsequently suck. A couple of Zarya bubbles can mitigate that time duration quite a bit. Mauga previously, his role was brawl and initiation for the team, and everybody follows up because that ability was his core bread and butter. If he closes the distance with overrun, pops the haha, 5 seconds where he heals like crazy. The lifesteal is crazy, and everybody around him gets lifesteal, which is why Venture and Genji were the meta comps with Mauga, Lucio at that time, and Kiriko and whatnot. They all clump up, brawl, death ball in his AoE, and everybody got like 60% lifesteal. So Venture would go through their DPS rotation, get a shit ton of lifesteal back. Genji could dash in and clean up, go for some really crazy lifesteal blades as well, and then Mauga lifesteals off the other tank because that duration of cardiac was so long. But now his role, still brawl, but his window of opportunity is way shorter, and all the players you sound like you're playing with don't understand that, and they missed that 3-second window, and they're not using that opportunity very well, and then they just end up getting punished for it right now. So Mauga in the hands of an inexperienced player is probably not going to do very well. I don't think Mauga is great right now. Actually, I've heard some pro players experimenting with scrimming with him a little bit again. Even though his window of opportunity is a bit shorter, if you're smart with it, like high pro teams are, you can still make it work and pick him selectively against certain tank matchups. But right now, because D.Va is running everywhere and the Matrix pretty much lasts as long as his biggest haha value, he's not being played right now, and your Mauga player on your team is probably remembering the Mauga from a couple of seasons ago where he was able to do that, and they haven't adjusted. So that's what he's supposed to do. But yeah, he's supposed to brawl and all in, but not much that you can do to help him. Just tell him to be more selective or with his cooldowns, or pick a different hero, because he evidently doesn't understand him right now. Why are most Overwatch players hard stuck? Genuine question. I just started playing Overwatch, never knew the game before Overwatch 2 came out. I play competitive, and a lot of my teammates cry when I'm not the best, even though we're the same rank, like silver, gold. Like, if someone has been playing for a while, since Overwatch 1, how are they still hard stuck? And why don't these players ever keep in mind some players are new, so I don't know the counters, etc. like they do? Is that really on me, on both of us? Really no hate. Thanks in advance. Okay, so there's a lot of questions in this, so let's see. Let's unpack this slowly. A lot of my teammates cry, even though we're the same rank. I don't get it. That's just any online competitive game. You have to manage your expectations. People will whine and complain about, you know, their pickup teammates in a random online multiplayer game, and yes, you're the same rank. That's why the clapback, a lot of people will go like, dude, why are you yelling at me? We're the same freaking rank. You can't say you're better because clearly you're stuck here. So that's just going to happen. You can't avoid teammates crying. Number two, if someone's been playing for a while since Overwatch 1, how are they hard stuck? Well, not everybody has time to dedicate and improve in the game. Some people just like to queue competitive, and whether they win or lose, they don't really care. They just play to play, and people don't put in the time and effort to improve, and that's okay. Not everyone is meant to be amazing at the game. Like, if I play pick up baseball every week, like, how am I still hard stuck in a little like casual like local league? It's because like I'm not trying to go for the major leagues. I'm just playing for fun. You know what I mean? I'm playing a competitive like weekly baseball or basketball matches or whatnot, like intramurals, etc., etc. But I'm not trying to go pro, so I could be hard stuck. And you use that analogy in the video game as well. Why don't these players keep in mind that people are new? And I don't get the counters? That's just expectation management. Unfortunately, people don't have that self-awareness and don't realize that, hey, people are new and not everybody in your rank knows what to do. It is very frustrating when people give streamers a bad rep. I'm a streamer, but I don't do this. When they smurf, well, let's say they're like a GM player and they smurf in plat, and then they like yell at their teammates for not doing XYZ, and I'm like, dude, you're giving all these. Then now people get mad at streamers because like obviously they don't have their expectations managed. Like, you're a GM player, of course you can't expect your plat players to do this. They're going to make mistakes. I don't know why you yell at them. So it's not just you in silver and gold. Everybody at every rank. Some people just really lack that self-awareness. So don't worry too much about that. That's not on you. That's on the person. No hate. Okay. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. And I guess the last part is why else are they hard stuck is also the relative rank is a lot different as time passes. A gold player from 2017 is not the same as a gold player from 2024. Maybe in 2017 people didn't know how to mercy super jump, but a lot of mercies in gold in 2024 know how to super jump. Knowledge is always evolving. So the baseline and average skill is going up over time. Relative to the rank on the screen, if that makes sense. You can even see it in, outside of Overwatch. Let's use the baseball analogy. People have learned pitching mechanics and like analytics. So now you have 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds throwing like 70, 80 miles per hour. You get Shohei Ohtani at 16, 17 throwing 100 miles per hour. Was that really a thing in 1970 before biomechanics studies? I don't know. It's always evolving relative to the age in baseball, like 16, 17-year-olds. Throwing gas, and then now relative to the rank in Overwatch, gold in 2017 versus gold in 2024, maybe gold in 2050 in Overwatch 7 is not going to be the same as gold Overwatch 1 2017. You know what I mean? When you look at the extremes, the analogy makes a little bit more sense. Was there a point in the past when Zarya actually countered D.Va? Maybe it's a metal rank thing, but I don't think I've ever seen a genuinely intelligent D.Va player get shut down by the enemy tank switching to Zarya. I understand the extremely obvious logic behind switching to a tank with the beam, but Zarya has has no ability and no CC outside of ult, so a smart D.Va can just engage with literally anyone else on the team except for her and then fly away before the Zarya can do anything. That is why I'm curious where the sentiment comes from. I don't have experience with older seasons or Overwatch 1, so I'm curious if this thought process is a holdover from that. No, it's mostly just been like an average player sentiment. It works on certain maps where the D.Va has no choice but to pretty much play in range. As of course, the D.Va can pick and choose their battles. So that's why most high rank tank players, even back in Overwatch 1, never really saw it as a true counter. It's just like a little bit more annoying to deal with. If you're smart on D.Va, it's not too bad. And arguably, I think they said under 40 charge Zarya kind of gets bullied by D.Va more than anything. So it's not really too big of a deal. Obviously, the beam goes through the matrix, but I guess the more annoying thing is that Zarya can also like beam past the matrix and just ignore the matrix and not just beam D.Va, but just beam the people behind her. And let's say the D.Va is like trying to matrix the Ashe, like shooting stuff this way to high ground, but then the Zarya ignores the beam and actually beams the person across compared to you. That being said, you're not wrong though, right? D.Va has the agency to choose the battles, and if she's smart, the Zarya's not really going to counter her by any means. I guess the sentiment mostly came from D.Va players who didn't understand that and got smoked by high energy Zaryas because they keep playing in the range of D.Va to get beamed for free and don't understand they can fly away because they feel like tanking is all about standing and soaking damage and absorbing stuff, but they don't realize they can fly away and hide and cover for a bit. That's actually okay, believe it or not. Don't do it for too long because you're giving up space, but map control is all about like a push and pull slightly. If they're pushing a little bit with that Zarya beam and bubbling aggressively, you can back up a little bit, take cover, let her waste her ammo, find her, wait till she reloads, and then go and find an opportunity. So yeah. Is there anything you can do to prevent teammates from giving up once the enemy team puts up any level of resistance? Making a comeback in this game is extremely common, and I still get caught matches where you lose one team fight first round, people type GG and leave and start to chat about how utterly hopeless our team is. I'm genuinely curious if there's anything I can say or do before or during the match to at least stop people from doing this, because once I'm down a person or a teammate starts throwing, that is when I feel like the match is actually lost. Unfortunately, not really. Online multiplayer games are going to be full of players who give up, weak mentals, and really like baby personalities who can't take a little bit of resistance. The only thing you can do is not add fuel to the fire and tilt them any further than they actually are. Lead by example, be a good teammate, be like, hey, don't sweat it. If they're having a bad game or they're flaming somebody, just be like, hey, we can still win this. Like, I never really tell people to relax because that tends to piss people off more. I'd be like, hey, we can still win this. Don't worry about it. We got this. Just lead by example, and it goes a lot further, because if everybody starts being a little bitch and complaining and whining and saying GGs every single game, like it becomes a bit more normalized, especially when they see like people, influencers, streamers do the same thing. It doesn't look good. But if every person set a good example, not only from an influencer perspective, but every teammate they encounter in ranked, then you'll have less people leaving and giving up that easily. That's the best you can do. Lead by example, one person at a time. Starts with you, and hopefully it keeps spreading to everybody else. At what rank do people start playing or in position? At what rank do people start positioning or playing correctly, quote unquote? I unlocked ranked yesterday, and I'm pretty much hard stuck at bronze 1 for support. Okay, you said hard stuck, but you just got ranked yesterday. I wouldn't say you're hard stuck yet, my friend. You've barely played 10 games or 15 games. I'm not very good mechanically, so my ceiling is probably lower than the people that can beam headshots constantly, but I do want to improve my game sense and positioning, but it typically goes like the tank in front and then everyone else kind of just chilling behind him. So if you get too close, you take damage from 2 or 3 different sources. My teammates don't flank very much, and if they do it alone, they get insta-killed, same with me. When we take objectives, it sometimes feels like pure chaos. Everyone's just on point, holding no angles or positions. Tank seems to overextend a lot. They'll rush a whole team alone around a corner and then die. We won't have a tank for another 10 seconds. I watched a Lucio tutorial, and a lot of it was about positioning, but I feel like that only works if your teammates position in a predictable way, but mine don't. I see no patterns or rationale for why they do what they do. How do I even start to understand positioning when I can't even tell what's going on because so much is happening at once? My second question is, how do I punish other teams for bad positioning or lack of coordination? Okay, let's answer the top question. The answer is there's no rank. All people do as they climb is make less mistakes in the previous one, because what's correct at one rank is not correct at the other. If you're in bronze, what's correct is just completely punishing mistakes that would never happen in diamond or masters, for example. So you have to take advantage of that. So, you know, every rank is an iteration. You're going to have GM players saying, oh, these Masters players are not playing correctly on my team. They're not doing X, Y, Z. They're not good. So it's an uphill battle. So the best that you can do is position and adapt to the game state and play correct to the game state. Now, how can you understand that, and how can you figure that out, and how do you punish them? That's a tough question to answer because you have to read a lot of the factors. I feel like positioning guides, that's why people always go, KarQ, would you have an Ana positioning guide? Stuff like that. I'm like, it's literally impossible because the teammates you have, where they play, but the enemy team is running, what map you're on, how many abilities were used, which cooldowns, that all changes where you're supposed to position. So there's no easy answer. It's literally impossible to go through every single iteration, which is why I've refused to do it. You have to go by case by case basis and look at a particular game from one player and point out things that you could have done in that game state and hopefully give them an idea of what's the general right thing to do. And the general right thing to do, that as I always say in all these videos, is to not make the biggest blunder. You're gonna have 20, 30 different options at every second in front of you. Just don't pick the terrible one that gets you killed. Death equals usually one of the worst choices you could make, unless of course you're trading a few, but that's an exception. Instead of trying to worry about what your teammates are doing at this rank, especially in Bronze 1, try to actually, let's make this even simpler. And a very easy way, especially because you're completely new in Bronze, is here. Let's see this. If you go by yourself, if your tank doesn't flank, if they do it alone, they get insta-killed. Same with me. If your teammates are doing it and you're doing it, there's a very high chance that the enemy team is doing that as well. It's chaos. But try to find an isolated target and punish them. You can't say that they're not going to do it if you're doing it and you're in the same rank, right? So that's one way to start. The next is to just go at it and get yourself some experience. You just got ranked. Again, you have like 10, 15 games under your belt after a day. Put in time, and you'd be surprised that you may not be bronze because you already have the willingness to improve. You're posting on this forum. There's going to be bronze people that have been bronze for 8 years because they don't care to. They just play the game for fun. You're taking the initiative. You're trying to figure things out. You see no patterns, but you'd be surprised. There are patterns. There are some really bad patterns, and there's going to be general positions where you notice there's health packs. There's pieces of cover that they could be playing in, but they're not. So you have to understand what hero they're on and what can they do in that situation. There's no pattern. For example, if you see a Zenyatta, what Zenyatta got for his defensive abilities? Only his Transcendence, his ultimate. If it's early in the game, a minute in, and he's standing in the open, no cover, that's a mistake on his part. You can punish that, and you'll kind of fine tune and figure ways to look for that. Improve yourself before you look for what to do with your teammates. You're saying you're like a Lucio, right? Somewhere because you watch the Lucio guide. You can work on your own individual wall climbing mechanics. Get really comfortable on your skates. It's like skating, like you're playing hockey, right? Get really good on those. And then you can see that isolated Zenyatta and take that 1v1 because you're better in that aspect and you can punish that. That's actually one of the ways. I don't support unranked GMs gameplays, but like a lot of the Lucio ones, you'll see they just go crazy on because they're very mechanically sound on their wall riding, and they just look for positional mistakes and just take 1v1s, especially if they're like starting in bronze for these series, bronze, silver, because they're always making isolated, singled out positioning mistakes, especially supports. Start there and then keep iterating. KarQ, is it a realistic goal to be top 500 while working full time? I just said KarQ, is it a realistic goal? I added my own name there because I'm so used to people asking this question on stream. I work 40 hours a week, finishing up my bachelor's. I could get 10 to 12 hours a week to play competitively, but back in Overwatch 1, I was consistently 4,200 to 4,400 from season 4 to 13, but I was in high school with too much time on my hand to play video games. I could dump 8 hours a day of rank scrims, coaching every day. But currently, I'm sitting in Diamond on all roles, but I miss the competitive nature of high elo games. Does anyone else here work a full-time job and maintain a GM SR, or am I doomed? I would say it is not unrealistic. You can still be top 500. Top 500 in DPS is only starting at like Masters 3 or 4. At the beginning of the season, it's like Masters 5. You could do it. The only difference is you're right. Back then, you dumped hours in rank scrims coaching. If you're busy working, the best thing you can do to stay up to date and continue playing and continue improving is to consume Overwatch content while you're not actively playing and learn and soak in knowledge that way. Similar to how people listen to podcasts on their commute to work or during lunch hours, you can just pop on some VOD reviews, some coaching videos of people who play the heroes you play at a certain rank during your lunch hour. maybe if you're sitting on the subway to work or the train or whatnot, you have to keep up. You're right though, keeping up with high rank is a consistent grind. You said season 4 to 13 Overwatch 1 was 5-6 years ago. I will say that elo back then is equivalent to like low masters or high diamond today. You're not too far off, to be honest with you. You're not that far away, but the game is always evolving. Like I said earlier, players are always getting better at your average rank. So just put in a little bit of extra work outside of gaming itself, and I still think you could do it. You're not doomed, believe it or not. I think it was ML7 who was studying full time to be in school, like 50, 60 hours a week, but he was like top 10 in the game. He put in a decent amount of hours, of course, but not as much as he does now because he streams like 8 to 10 hours a day. But back then when he wasn't even a known streamer in 2016, 2017, he just played a bit casually. I think there was another doctor as well who worked a lot of hours who was in top 500 in EU as well. It's doable. Does Brig really heal less if you spam repair packs? Sorry if this has been asked, but I noticed this on the Overwatch wiki. A single repair pack is an instant 25 healing plus 100 over 2 seconds. If multiple repair packs are thrown at the same target, the healing duration is simply increased by 2 seconds. So does that mean if you use 2 at once, the second pack doesn't give the instant 25? This is actually a good question. I myth busted this because I was curious as well. So a single repair pack is 25 plus 100 over 2 seconds, so that's 125 HP. If you double pack them instantly, they still get the 25 flat, and it adds the extra 100 over the 2 seconds. It doesn't overwrite, it adds. That was my question. So that I had before I myth busted it. So if I throw a second pack 1 second later, it'll still do the 2500 over 2 seconds, and then it'll add Sorry, let me rephrase that. If you pack once instantly, they get 25 healing, and then 1 second passes, they get 50 healing, and I quickly throw another pack, they instantly get the 25 flat, and they get the remaining 50 HP over the next second, and then the extra 100 over the next 2 seconds, or 50 per second after that as well. So it's additive. The reason why I checked this was because I wasn't sure if you stack them, it would just refresh the duration where you get the flat healing, but like after 1 second passes of the 2 seconds, the last second is overwritten because the new one overrid it, so you only get 3 seconds of healing over time versus 4 seconds. That makes sense. So if you 3-pack it, pew, 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 rapid fire, you do get 6 seconds of healing over time instead of like overwriting it and only getting 3 or 4 seconds. Does that make sense? Any case, are there too many Ana players wasting their sleep on too hard to hit targets? I think he meant to say clarify that I'm a tank main, not a support main, and most certainly not much of an Ana player. This is just something I'm seeing in a lot of VODs and when watching my own games. My highest rank amount roles is currently plat 4, and other roles I'm in gold. And I see so much of Ana throwing sleeps out at squishy targets and whiffing due to their opponents jumping around in unpredictable ways. Isn't it better to just save sleep for the diving tanks trying to isolate you like me, or the Alton Cassidy and Reaper and Pharah? Are you going for these high skill sleeps just for the challenge or to develop your aim? Is there a skill tier where Anas can more reliably hit those sleep darts? This is the last part, when you start asking the questions, this depends. As somebody who plays a lot of Ana, in some cases, yes, it is better to save it for the diving tank if that's going to happen, and the Ana will probably die if like you're the Winston and you try your best to sleep it. But if you see the if you see the Anas throwing them out at squishy targets and they're jumping around, it's because usually a sleep dart can be punished with a kill. If you get a kill, that's instant tempo swing for your team. So a lot of Anas will just chuck it out. You get a sleep dart, good chance they might die, right? Especially if their team follows up. So that's why a lot of them just fire it out. That being said, it is very good to also hold it and have the threat of the sleep dart. So a Cassie or a Reaper and Pharah always has to wait and be like, do they have sleep dart? And they have to hesitate before they pop their ult. So good Anas know when they can be proactive and just chuck them out for potential picks, usually early in the game, and they understand, the good Anas understand the game state and what ultimates are available. Like as an Ana player, if I know they don't have a Pharah ult or anything like that, I will hold on to it and save it for myself for a Winston coming out, or if I see a very vulnerable target, I will go for those squishy people because we can probably get a kill. I won't go for the long range ones. If you're seeing them like across the map and there's like, you know, a very low chance of hitting it, I don't really take very many low percentage sleep darts, which is probably what you're seeing. But that being said, the only way to improve your low percentage sleep darts and practice them is to just fire them out as well, which is another topic for another day. But I only do that when I know that they don't have any dive people coming after me as an Ana and they don't have any Pharahs and Reapers with their ultimates available. Then I will go for those cheeky ones that are a bit higher risk but could be potentially higher reward. Is there a skill tier where Anas can hit more? That all As you go up, people will hit more and more. You know, there's not a specific skill tier, but each one will be a little bit better. Reliable is a bit subjective. I would say probably around Plat Diamond, the mechanics are pretty solid. A lot of these players in probably mostly Diamond above got the foundations mechanics down, but they just have pretty bad decision making. That's all. Okay, and I think that's it for the Reddit questions of the week. Thank you very much, and I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.